There is closure in sales of real estate. And I wanted to help people and I wanted homework. I didn't want the job to be a 9 to 5. And then when I got home, it didn't matter what I did in the day. I wanted it to be a lifestyle part of who I was. And I had things to do in the evening, which I certainly do in real estate.
Hey, welcome back to the Real Estate Excellence Podcast. Today we're talking about the missing link between goals and results. Most people don't need more motivation. They need method. They need motion. Because Debbi says action builds momentum, momentum builds confidence, and confidence delivers results. This episode is built for the high performer who's tired of the mental chatter and ready to lock in. We're digging into Debbi's new book, Mindset in Motion, Activate Your Purpose, Power, and Peak Performance, coming next month. Are we still on schedule for that? All right, coming in March. And her proven 5-step method, Mindset in Motion method that turns intention into aligned action. We need to talk about the marathon mindset, her 5 a.m. to 9 a.m. routine, why she teaches goals like a game plan, and how the right community makes what feels impossible feel inevitable. Because when we have a cheerleader, an accomplice, or an accountability partner, what once seemed insurmountable almost becomes easy. Let's welcome Debbi DiMaggio to the show. Welcome, Debbi.
Thank you so much. What a great introduction.
I appreciate
to share with you today.
Well, you guys gave me so much great information, and I'm a fan of artificial intelligence. It makes me sound better. Because I certainly couldn't write all those creative words in there myself. But appreciate you coming on. And as you're talking a little bit pre-show, and then I had it go through and create me a little outline so I get a little more of an idea of what your book is about, and obviously cross-reference with real estate, because you've been in real estate since the early 90s, shortly after getting out of school, and relate because the word mindset is often spoken about at events in trainings and so forth, and how obviously you can help your experience of over 30 years in real estate and this mindset, and obviously that you've put into a book now, and helping agents grow and become better real estate agents.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So start us off a little bit just to get everyone a little groundwork. I mean, you went to Berkeley, if I recall correctly, from your LinkedIn, if I got that up on this other screen over here. Tell us, what were you thinking about doing as a career? What was going on? And then it was shortly, 3 or 4 years later, you fall into real estate. How did that happen?
So when I was growing up and when I was at Cal, the only thing I did not want to do was real estate. So where I thought I would go was not going to be real estate. But my father was in real estate. He was an investor, so very different. He was a syndicator, not a residential real estate agent, but he was in real estate nonetheless. And now I look back and I go, well, no wonder. It was long before the internet, social media, cell phone. So he was always tied to that phone. So we couldn't have proper vacations or planned vacations. And he was, you never knew if something was going to change and he couldn't go out or whatever. So he was just always tied to it. So
right.
That was kind of like, I don't want to do that. I don't want my life to be that. I don't want to be hanging out at the shopping centers that I own, overseeing all of that. That didn't sound fun to me. So I was at Cal and I was a political science major. I was thinking law, but then I was just very unhappy with the system, the judicial system. And it just didn't seem like the people that should get off. And it just didn't seem right. And I didn't think I could go that way. So I stepped into magazines and worked at LA Magazine, Southern California Home and Garden Magazine, worked for the marketing department of a hospital, but there was nothing that was calling me. What do you want to do?
Right.
So when I was 25, I wrote 10 things that I like, and I had no idea what that would transpire into. So I've always had this mindset without labeling it mindset. I've always lived on figuring it out, writing it out. And that's what I talk about in my book. So I wrote 10 things. Here are a few of them. A few of them, I wanted to meet new people all the time. That's why I love podcasting. I meet people from all around the world. I meet all
Yeah.
people from all different cultures and backgrounds. So that was one thing that was important to me. I needed to do something with a beginning, a middle, and an end. I liked closure. Fast forward in real estate and residential, when we write an offer like I did before I jumped on the show, hopefully if we get it and there's closure on the other end,
Right.
you don't always get it in multiple offers, but there is closure in sales of real estate. And I wanted to help people, and I wanted homework. I didn't want the job to be a 9 to 5. And then when I got home, it didn't matter what I did in the day. I wanted it to be a lifestyle part of who I was. And I had things to do in the evening, which I certainly do in real estate. Anyway, fast forward a couple of years, met my husband to be, and his friend said, Debbie should do rentals. She'd be really great at it. So I popped into rentals in San Francisco. It was before Craigslist, before the internet, and we were making calls. We were finding owners that would pay us a commission. We were meeting people because everyone was coming into San Francisco. There was DFS, Bank of America, tons of relocation into San Francisco.
Right.
And then eventually I moved to the East Bay, where we started to raise our family, where I grew up in Piedmont, California, which is near Berkeley and Oakland. And I got into sales. I was a little nervous to get into fully, commission sales, more difficult trying to find buyers and sellers when you're a young person. But I got a lot of business from the relocation. So those people who are renters became homeowners, and then they were also relocating people into who were looking to buy homes. And then later those people sold homes. So that was the basis of my business. And I loved it. And there was something new happening every day. And that's how I stepped into residential.
Right. So you basically in your 10 things there, you were describing a real estate agent. I think everyone in the real estate business, whether you're on the mortgage side like myself, or we're 24/7. When the phone rings, we answer it because that's when the action's happening. Yeah.
I was able to text on the airplane as I was flying back from a real estate conference in Atlanta. And I told the buyers, I said, well, if you can let me know by tomorrow morning. And I was able to communicate with them about what would be in our offer.
Yeah.
So we're always connected.
I always can. So the time scale that you were talking there, you go to the retail real estate side, you get, from rentals into you're still in your mid to late 20s.
I was like 28.
Yeah.
So
what have you?
I always like to say, when I was 25, that's when I wrote down those things. I
Right.
was 25 writing those 10 things. I was completely lost. I was completely unhappy. I wanted something to just hit me that was going to be that thing I was going to love, and I knew what it was. And so I was really frustrated at 25. So when I'm on podcasting or when I'm coaching, I'm always trying to help those young people not to suffer or feel so unhappy, because it could be very frustrating when you're like, I went to college, now what?
Yeah. You actually hit on several great things there. One, if someone listening to this and you're in that point of your life, or if you're reading, obviously grab Debbie's book when it comes out. Finding, and I think one of the key elements or cornerstone to great agents is finding. You already found real estate. You're in real estate, but finding how to do real estate that fits into your passion and what you like to do. Because would you agree, every agent markets a little differently? They do they got to make it their own. They've got to own it.
Absolutely. And I do want to point out something. I just got back into town from a real estate conference in Atlanta. It was my BNI Business Network International group. At the same time, Keller Williams was having their group. I'm with the Corcoran. But I was learning and networking from so many agents, and everyone's different. So this one gal, what she does, we're all different, right? The most important thing is, as a realtor, is be your authentic self, because we're going to connect with like-minded people. We're not going to get every client, but nor should we. We need to work with the people that appreciate our skill, knowledge, and experience, and who we can relate to, and they can relate to us. So this gal does so well. I found out what she was doing. She has a full-time job as an engineer. So different personality.
Yeah.
I'm not the engineer type, right?
Right.
I'm very different than that. She works full-time as an engineer, and she kills it in real estate. She's got those engineer type people who are buying from her. They're like-minded. They are very similar in personality and style. So I mean, I don't know if I've met people who were bartenders and like waitresses and things that did
Right.
something not so serious as a job in order to augment their finances, but a full-time engineer, and she's just nailing it.
That's actually new to me. I've had project managers obviously become real estate agents, but an engineer, and then define that market, because yeah, they're obviously very analytical. I mean, we can go on and describe how that engineer
She's
buyer.
doing it at the same time.
Yeah.
She's like 2 full-time jobs and just killing it, but not everyone could do that.
No, no. So back to the age that I would imagine at 28 were probably the youngest person in that office. Am I right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Probably maybe even by a decade or more. And
yes, you're so right.
so, but things have changed, and obviously, I've had 23-year-olds on here that are just really doing well in the business and get it. What have you found? I mean, obviously, you've got a team. I'm sure you've mentored agents over the years. The shift now, would you agree that we are getting some more of these young people just post college that are coming in? Maybe they're following mom or dad's footsteps, possibly, or they're just coming in and get it. What have you seen out there in California?
So when I was 28, I was a very young 28. These 23-year-olds today seem older than me. I mean, the people are much different now. When I was 28, I was very young. These were the people I was in at the office with were parents of my friends. So these people could have been my parents. So very different. And I do like to say, I didn't find out from my broker, but I found out from these 2 gentlemen who are office staff. They said, Debbie, you were in the top 10 in our office, which was insane because I don't really work that way. I just work. And I don't really think about, where I am in it.
You just get a check at the end of the
just work hard to take care of my clients.
Yeah.
And that office in that company, I was the first person that hadn't been at another company and already proven myself. So it was a very unique situation. Never took it for granted. Always work hard, always listen to the older people telling me they've been there, they've done that. And I always like to tell people, don't reinvent the wheel, just learn and just suck it up and just learn from these people. They've done it and they've done it successfully. But to go back to your other question, when I started, there was no internet, there was no Google, there was no text messaging, there was no social media. It was a completely different world. So now, now we have these young people and these influencers, and they're really great at social media. It's people my age and older who are fumbling with social media. We're doing our best, but we're not, embracing all of these tools and stuff. So the younger people have internet, they have text, they have, God knows what they have. They use it all. We know
they grew up with it. It's like the back of their hand. Yeah.
They're on Snapchat and they're on TikTok, and they're making creative, and they edit their videos. To edit something that would take me a week.
No, you just hire one of those 23-year-olds to do it. That's
yeah, exactly.
Right.
And then at this conference so my son now works with us. He's 29 and he works with us, and it's super helpful because he is more techie than we are. My husband and I have worked together for 35 years. And then at the conference, I met quite a few people whose sons also worked with the mothers, and it was really fun to see.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think, like I said, that might actually be one of the reasons why we're seeing a lot of younger people, because of the push in the last 10, 15 years. I had George Guerrera on. He's now president of the Florida Realtors Association, but he's out of Miami. And even before the YouTube, he was video. Every time that's like his thing. Every time I see him, I say video, because he was doing videos in the mid 2000s, 20 years ago, really before YouTube and all these places where you could get it out to people really easy. And he really felt creating basically a movie of the homes that you were representing was the way to go. And I think just talking to you, that thought came to my mind. That's probably an attractiveness to the younger people, because now they're actually seeing it on their social media channels that they're on, and they're going, real estate. Yeah, that looks like a lifestyle I'd like, and they make pretty good money. And yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yep.
It's definitely changed in the years.
Right. All right, let's dive a little bit into the book. I created some questions here. The first one, the new book for listeners, Mindset in Motion, Activate Your Purpose, Power, and Peak Performance. That's the title. Why did you write it, and who are you writing it for? What audience are you looking for there?
So, well, as things happen, someone once years ago interviewed me, and in their article, they named it Accidentally with Purpose. And I have lived up to that title day after day, year after year. I kind of stumble into things. I'm always thinking and creating, and I kind of stumble into things. So I've written a couple books, and they all had a story of why they happened. But this one, Mindset in Motion, happened. My husband said, I'll do the Sunday open house. You did Saturday yesterday. So I sat down, I got on Instagram. I was going to just chill. And I thought, who is this person that keeps coming up on my Instagram? It was like some surfer kind of guy.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, who is it? And then it ended up being that he was talking about doing TED Talks. And I thought, I have my own podcast now. I've written a bunch of books. I don't want to do any more books. I should probably try to do a TED Talk. So I bought the course. And as I do, I digged right in and started answering the questions. And as I was answering the questions, I said, for 15 minutes, what am I going to talk about? Very succinctly, memorize. Right. I can't memorize a script. I can only talk from my heart.
Right.
So I was like, I started writing and writing and writing. I was activating. I was trying to figure out, and I was thinking, and I was internalizing. These are words that you'll hear from me to speak about.
Mm-hmm.
And at the next morning when I woke up, I said, oh my gosh, I've got to write another book because I have to be so clear on my messaging that it is just in my heart and it just comes out. So TED Talk on hold, started last March working on Mindset in Motion. And it's just how I live my life. I'm constantly in motion. I constantly have lived by this mindset of just doing. I know it's a word that's such a buzzword now, but it's clearly how I've lived my life and how I came up with the idea. I was going to talk about real estate. I was going to write or talk about the empty nest because I really had a hard time with that. I was like, I don't want to do that, but I always like to help people achieve their goals. I have this thing about you could do it if you just had a plan and if you just took action. So I reverse engineered how I achieved all my goals throughout my life, working at the United States Supreme Court, starting a company in the Great Recession of 2008, 2009, running the LA Marathon on mindset alone, trying to prove a point. It's the activation.
Do you regret that? Do you regret that, the marathon, or?
Do I regret it?
Well, proving your point.
No, I was awesome. I mean, it's so funny. I didn't really think anything of it because I was just trying to prove a point that it's possible.
Oh.
And so I was like, it's cool, whatever, I did it. But I don't really think about it until I talk to someone who's a runner, mm-hmm. and they'll say, wait, what do you mean? You didn't train? I said, no. And they're like, I'm a marathon runner. I'm always training. And so then I realized what a big thing it was for me. Let me break it down into the framework. So
yeah.
When you have a goal, whatever that goal is, the first thing is you have to have a goal and you have to have clarity around that goal. We can't just randomly. It's what's the clarity of what is it you want? And you can do this with anything. You can do it with overcoming an addiction, going through divorce, going through the empty nest, getting a job promotion, whatever that goal is in your life. So get clarity around that goal. Then you have to believe it. Whether you know how you're going to get there or not, don't worry about it.
Step back to the clarity for a moment, because I'm thinking about myself.
Okay, yeah.
When you say clarity, give me an example, how clear are we talking about? What?
Can you share your goal?
Well, I have several. This has become a passion, my podcast, right? I've done mortgages for 20 years. I can write mortgages in the back of my hand. Doesn't really, excite me too much. I enjoy doing the podcast, getting to meet people like yourself. I enjoy that, giving people their moment, telling their story, and, obviously deeply listening to what you're saying and understand. I should have been a psychology major. So I'd really like to get out. I think, as I'm not much younger than you are. I'm only a few years younger than you. I'm guesstimating your age, but I'm not much younger than you are. So I'm in that phase of my life where I'd really like to, take the podcast to another level. I've started writing some small books from all the transcripts that I have, all the great stories from, the Grit by Angela Duckworth is one of my favorite books. And, obviously she's a TEDx speaker, and how grit and real estate agents and the things they overcome. And I really enjoy it. I want to share those stories to motivate, inspire, that type of thing. So that's kind of my goal. The podcast itself is, as my wife says, it's been more of a hobby than it's actually turned into any huge amount of mortgage business or anything like that. So my vision is to, really, I'd love to have an RV or a nice van, drive around and interview every top agent and start here in Florida and, even travel the country and make it something, and the transcripts and the stories, and be able to turn those and share those with others. And
Want to turn it into a book?
Yes. So I started writing, I'm working with AI and because it knows all my shows, all my transcripts are uploaded and everything.
Right.
So I said, what are some things to do? And then I'm watching some guys that are writing these ebooks on there, and I'm like, And then chat's like, I started talking about that, and I said, well, why don't you write a series of books breaking down, the different things, and one of the things like open houses, because I've got some great agents that just dive into open houses. So how they do it and breaking it down, almost making it a playbook is what I recommend.
Stop you there.
Yeah.
Let's get clarity on, you want to write a book or you want to write a series of books. You want to travel around and meet people in person like you're doing on your podcast.
Right.
But you want to continue to do that and continue to develop your content and your personality.
Yes.
And then, and there's probably other things after that, like speaking and different things where you can monetize. But let's just talk about the book, right? Let's talk about the book. So the first thing is you want to grow your brand and you want to write a book. That's what you want to do. I want to write a book on XYZ. I want to take all of my content and put it into a book. Second is you have to believe it. You really just have to believe you can do it. You started a podcast, you're a successful mortgage person. It's like, I believe I can do it. That's it. Just believe it. Then you internalize it. This is where you start writing down, like you were practicing with ChatGPT, you were writing your ideas. So really focus on the book and how you see it, I'm driving, I'm scheduling appointments next summer and I'm going to go to this, and this, and you're going to start booking appointments. So really internalize what that is and what that looks like to you. And after this, I'm going to send you an email with a blueprint.
Okay.
So that's the internalize. Then it's kind of what we're doing right now. You share it with supportive people. So you're sharing what it is. And I say supportive people. I used to say share. Yes, you can share things to the public. I want to, work out every day. Here's today, day one, I've worked out. Here's today too. You can share things like that or other little things. But I did not share. The reason why I said share with supportive people is you don't want people to belittle your dream or to think like you can't do it or for whatever reason. You just want all positivity going your way, no negativity. If I was to share it with people, I was about to turn 60 and I was going to run the LA Marathon. My friends would have said, you're crazy. You don't train, you don't work out, you don't even eat very much. You're insane.
Right.
You might do a soul cycle class here and there. You've run a few, you've jogged a few races. They were flat. You didn't, you haven't really done anything.
Right.
So I wasn't going to tell people because I knew what they would say. About a week before. So in February, I decided to do it. I ran it March 23rd, less than a month later.
Wow.
And I said, I'm going to do it on mindset. And it stemmed from something my son said he wanted to do about challenging himself. And I didn't understand what that meant. I immersed my mind in the military mindset. I read everything on Navy SEALs. When you see a soldier, they're a regular person, and then they all of a sudden they turn into almost superhuman, and their mindset is steel, and they're all of a sudden they're carrying a gun, and their life is on the line, and they've also had to spend time learning and being indoctrinated, and then they have to be physically fit and carrying stuff you can't even imagine. Women too. Anyway, so I read on it, but I did not train.
Did you read? I imagine you probably read or watched David Goggins.
Well, the funny thing is, accidentally with purpose, when I'm looking to what books to read, that popped up. Had no idea who David Goggins was. Immersed my mind in his book. I recite that book. And it was because of that book. I said, if he can come from a shit life, shit parents, people who did not support him, I have the complete opposite.
Yeah.
He became a Navy SEAL. I'm only running the marathon.
Right.
That's nothing compared to what he put himself through.
Yeah.
So that's what it was. When I told my husband and my son what I was reading, he said, of course, everyone knows who he is. I said, well, I don't, but I don't care. I'm just reading the book. So that's what spurred me on to this. If he could do what he did, which was way bigger than anything I've done.
Yeah. So his stories are out of control. I'm like, whoa.
It's crazy. So share with supported people. And then, of course, I told my husband the week before, you got to come to LA with me. I don't know what's going to happen. I'm running the marathon and I have no idea what to expect. I had zero idea what to expect. So, and then people watched me along the way. Even my kids couldn't believe that I was doing it and they were all tracking me as I was running. And then you have to activate. So let's get back to you. I want to go back to you on the activation.
Right.
So believe for you, internalize, and writing and taking notes and really establishing you as writing this book. So activate is so important. This is where you don't do it alone. I can give you 4 introductions immediately about people who will help you with their book, who are professionals at this.
Mm-hmm.
And one of them that I worked with that I hadn't worked with before is a book coach. Didn't even know what that was, but accidentally with purpose, I was at a meeting, nothing to do with book writing. And this person was there as one of the women in our group. And so what she did was brilliant. I thought I had already written the whole book and I was just ready to finish it up. When I sat with her, started working with her last March, she would ask me questions. And then as I was talking, she was taking notes. And then she'd ask me another question or ask me to clarify. And I'm like, doesn't everyone know that? She's like, no, Debbie, people don't think like you. And I said, all right. Well,
yes, that's actually a very interesting statement that she made there. We want to assume, but I think you and I are much alike in our creativity and our mind going in with another idea, and other people don't have that always.
Right. And so you have to explain it. So she would ask me questions and she would write. And then at the end of the hour, I'd go like, oh my God, book is getting way too long. It was supposed to be a little pocket book. Well, a year later. So anyway, I can introduce you to Ellie. You can work it that way. There are many ways to work your book. You just have to commit to yourself, but then you have to activate. And there are Facebook group pages. There is 1,000 different people who can help you do that. I could hold you accountable to getting it done, but there's no reason you can't get it done. You have the tools, you have the content, you have the skills and knowledge.
Yeah.
You just have to activate.
Yeah.
And get the help. By getting the help, not doing it alone.
Well, so I wrote this. I pretty much got the open house. I'm having a friend of mine who just so happens to be in personal safety. He was an FBI agent, worked for Gavin DeBecker and all that kind of stuff. I said, I'm just going to add one last chapter for people who own further real estate agents that the book is written for, who are, just a safety chapter. So I'm James, him and I were roommates in college, and he talks nationally and stuff. So he's putting that last little chapter. But as far as my part, I'm ready for people to start digging into it and, critiquing it, whatever, that kind of thing, editing,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then also I write on Substack a lot to share my ideas and get it out there. And I think you just have to start getting it out there. But after this, I can refer you to quite a few people who can help you with your book, depending on how you want to do it.
Right.
There's many different ways to go about it.
All right, we'll carry that on because I don't want to take up this being a book writing. Let's talk. I appreciate that, and I also believe, people are put together for a reason. Maybe that's our reason why we're together today.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You're going to do it. I'm going to hold you accountable.
All right, I'm following you. All right, the 5-step method, your 5-step mindset and motion method. Walk us through the 5 steps.
So you have to have a goal. Clarity. Be very clear. When you started talking, you were kind of all over the place. I didn't know if you just wanted to get in the RV and go meet with people throughout the country,
right,
which is also a good way of connecting in real estate with other agents throughout the country. But we got clear around it. Get clarity.
I think if you were to say, would I like to go through the TEDx window, which a lot of has opened up doors for great speed, I would follow that path. Yeah.
Yeah. So whatever it is, TEDx, write a book. Whatever it is you want to do, get just one. Let's start. You can have many goals, but let's keep them this way. So
put them in line.
your goal, and you're going to be clear around what that is. Write a statement. Then you're going to believe it, whether you believe it or not. And you've heard all kinds of people speak on that. You just believe it and internalize it and know it can happen. Don't worry how you're going to get there. They talk about that in manifesting too. Don't worry about it. Just believe it. I can do it. Don't use I want to do it. No, I am going to do it. So the use of your words are very direct and very specific. And then internalizing it. This could be pinning on Pinterest. Someone wants to buy a house and wants a certain style. They're pinning it, they put it on Pinterest, collages, writing, journaling, meditating on it, all the different ways to really embrace that. And for me, it's a lot of writing, because writing over and then reviewing it and then getting more clear on it. So that's the internalization part. And then sharing with supportive people. You might share it with your wife, your kids, whoever it is that's supportive, a mentor, someone that can really just be a cheerleader for you. So it's really good to have that support, but only with supportive people. You don't want someone, saying, yeah, it's too much work and, you shouldn't do it. Do something else. And then activate. And again, activation is not trying to do it on your own or be some big hero. It's Facebook groups and community groups and networking groups and book coaches and therapists and just advisors, accountability partners. I mean, I always forget, he's in my book. I think it's Messi, the amazing soccer player. He has like 20 coaches. I mean, he has a coach for everything. So he is a specimen, yes, but he has a sleep coach, a nutritionist, a therapist. I mean, every
stretch coach, strength coach, whatever, so running coach.
You have to connect with these people to help you activate. Don't do it alone. And one of the things I talk about in my book, you never know unless you ask. If you don't ask someone, if you know someone who's written a book, you ask them what was their path to writing their book. You've got a lot of people who you've interviewed. Ask them how they did it until it kind of connects with how you want to do it. So you have to ask. And I've done that time and time again. I just asked 2 CEOs of 2 real estate companies to write me an endorsement. I emailed them both on a Sunday. They responded immediately. Had I not reached out to these 2 CEOs in New York, they wouldn't have known I wanted an endorsement from them. They both responded. So, and as I was writing the book, it kept coming up for me. Oh, I'm writing about asking. I need to ask so-and-so. And the worst that happens is they don't respond.
Right.
But so far, I'm batting 100.
When you were going through your 5 steps, it reminded me of a lot of agents who have been on, because real estate agents go through, obviously, I'm sure this is where a lot of your stuff derived from, their mindset in getting started and getting motion. Because I think you would agree, there's a lot of agents who go through a lot of motions, but they never actually move forward in the business.
They don't activate.
Right.
They're stuck. They work really hard to get their license, and some take the test 2 or 3 times, and they're trying so hard. They put their effort so hard into getting that license. They get their license, and then they're like getting set up, all the energy, get the signs, get the business cards, make me real as a real estate agent.
Right.
They get that, and then you sit down with them, and I go through all the back end, all our tools and all our tech. And I get them set up on social media. I get them where their DRE number is supposed to be. I share the tools we have. And then they're like, okay, I'll do an open house. And are they meeting people every day? Have they sent out a newsletter? Have they sent an announcement postcard? Are they really preparing for that Sunday open house? Or they, a couple of days ahead of time, or are they just showing up and that's it? They really aren't activating in a way, and they aren't getting into motion the way they need to be. And I've been doing this 35 years, and I am constantly pivoting and adjusting, which I talk about in the book. I'm continually reinventing. I just got back from the conference, and I'm already going to employ some things I learned. And that's after 35 years of really trying and activating, and being in motion. I'm still trying to get better.
Now, let me ask you, some of the things that you wrote down, have you ever heard of those things? Obviously you've been in the business a long time, so you've been to a lot of different conferences, whether it was just a lunch and learn or, something formal like flying all the way out to Atlanta. Was anything truly new to you, or was it just like, you know what? I've heard that now for the last 15 years. I'm going to act on it now.
Nothing so new. I guess this one, not the group. I was actually attending a Keller Williams just as a guest, and they were really big. They had probably 4 guests just on social media. So that was, of course, us older people are like, okay, we do a little bit of social media, but
Yeah.
we don't do that much. They really talked about the importance of social media. I was having a meeting, just a one-on-one meeting with one of the heads, managers or owners, and he was saying you should really put, like, I've always put my social media for work and other things that I share on my business page, not on my personal page. So my personal page doesn't get a lot of activity on Facebook because I'm always reluctant to share. And he said, you kind of just got to share and let people know who you are. And he's like, I don't really do a business page anymore. So, you hear both things.
Yeah.
And yes, it's true. When you set up an Instagram page, I think you do have to have a business page. So there's different workarounds, but if you have a Facebook page and you share on it, because some people, I tell the people I coach, it's like, you kind of have to be on every platform. You might not work every platform totally, but being there at least shows. Like if I go to LinkedIn and I don't see someone there that I was thinking of referring, I'm a little reluctant because I don't see any activity. So that is a red flag for me. So LinkedIn is like, I don't know if younger people know what a yellow pages are, but that is my yellow pages, or that's where I go. That's where my LinkedIn, if you're not on LinkedIn, you're out.
I keep the agents, that's the first place I go. When I got a guest, I might see them, they might be posting on Instagram or Facebook, oh, hey, they won an award or whatever. And I'm like, okay, is this someone who's, a top producer? Is this someone on? I go to LinkedIn to get, kind of get an idea of who they are. And I find many agents fall very short on a page that's very easy to set up. You take an hour one time and go through, put your bio. Obviously, you want to update your bio every so often, but it is a set in forget till or a little. It's not something you're doing every day. Now, I do post on my LinkedIn. Obviously, I'll take your show and I'll create a blog from it or an article talking about you and post it on there because that's what I'm doing. And I think from what I understand too, with some of these guys in the AI world, blogging is back. Writing articles is back because AI is looking for that stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
I love writing. I write on Substack. I would say the difference, if someone was going to ask, like LinkedIn, you can put, I can put my positivity quotes because I really like helping people. So I really like to share positive messaging and real estate stuff. But you're not going to put what you ate on LinkedIn. So don't, so it's like what you ate or, that might go on Instagram or Facebook, your personal page, maybe, then that's okay. They're different, but it's not difficult. You should be present in all of them, work the ones that you like. But I really think from where I'm seeing and hearing from people, you have to have a Facebook page in order to connect with all these amazing groups. And I'm now part of the BNI real estate group that is on steroids throughout the country. And they're on Facebook. So I have to get in a better habit of going to that page because they're sending out referrals or asking for referrals throughout the country all the time. And so it's real. Someone said, oh, they're looking for an agent in Berkeley. And then the 2 people in different areas said, oh, I just referred you, Debbie. I missed it. I wasn't on Facebook, but they said they referred me. So, and maybe I was talking to a guy, he said he had a person that sole job was to go through, like, I didn't know there were 50 sites, but he said there is a place, he had one specific person kind of going through and monitoring and being part of all those social media sites.
Yeah. I think a lot of these guys are using virtual assistants. I know a gentleman here who has a page just locally, being St. Johns County is big here in St. Augustine, Northeast Florida. And he has a page and he actually just really takes care of a couple of ladies who are always on there, making sure, the responses and making comments and that sort of thing. And he, gives them gift cards or whatever, just keep that page moving. And yeah. So
like, engage. Yes.
I think more of these, when I see a lot of these events, like I'm sure some of the local Keller Williams people here were in Atlanta because it's not that far away, but not that they're the only events. They talk at such a, hey, social media is important. Okay. Well, the average agent, the reason why they're not actually doing it is because they don't know how. And I often think you're actually better actually having a classroom, everyone bring in their laptops and have their phone, and here is how we make that video, type of thing, and really get down to the brass tacks. But you have a quote in here, and my AI pulled out: action builds momentum, momentum builds confidence, and confidence delivers results. What is the smallest action you recommend when someone feels stuck?
Oh, this is a good one. Get up, get dressed, get out. When you're not feeling great, don't sit at home. Go through. So to get into action, you're not feeling like it, so it feels hard. But that's when you just move your body. Your body moves. Your head's saying this, but you just get that body moved. You get into the shower, you get dressed, put on something you love, you get out of the house. When you're in motion, things happen. If you're sitting home, nothing. Your mind's just going to keep, making you crazy.
Right.
And then go to the coffee shop. Who knows, you're interacting with someone. Someone might say, I love your outfit, or this or that, or just saying hello to you will elevate your mood. So you start interacting and things happen. And that's the same thing we used to say agents would be kind of stuck. Well, are you sitting at home? Yeah. Come into the office. Sit in the office. You never know what's going to happen, the interactions that take place. This woman was going through that. She came in, sat with my husband. They walked over to the local cafe to get lunch. She ran into someone who then she hadn't seen in a long time, and she got a listing. She was out. She was feeling down, but then she got out. And then your confidence is built because now you're interacting and you're having some good positivity happen, and you're starting to get your groove back. And then you never know what can happen. And that's one of the things I say every day. I never know what's going to happen. I'm always looking for the magic. I'm always looking for the opportunity. What is that thing that's going to happen today? That's going to be the spark.
Yeah. Just thinking of the agents who might be listening, and, especially if you're new, or I don't know, maybe you just, all of a sudden you realize, hey, I don't have anything in process right now. I don't have anything going on. I'm not busy. What am I supposed to do today? And finding those places where you can you run into people and start talking real estate. Obviously, there's some great companies here locally. They have their new agents come in, and 9/11, they're making calls. They want them to have, I think it's like 20 conversations a day talking to somebody about something having to do with real estate. That's their goal, have those conversations and creating that motion that you talk about. You use a little bit of sports analogies in there: pre-game, game mindset, post-game mindset. Most people lose before the game starts. Why?
Because they're not setting themselves up for success. You have to go in. So I start the pregame to take a sports game, take a basketball game, take your day in real estate. The morning should be your time, not to be on email, not to be looking at social media, not to be, I think a lot of maybe all ages, I think of Instagram as a place where I can learn and be energized by what I learned, that there are these interesting possibilities that's happening. I don't get the fear of missing out or whatever. I'm kind of interested if it's something cool, like, wow, that's cool. I didn't know that existed. But whatever it is, and especially if it bothers people because they are having that FOMO, just the morning should be for you. Get your mind right, meditate, put your headphones in. I call it locking in. Tune out the noise, have some time for yourself. There's lots of YouTube channels with some meditation, that's guided meditation, whether it's music or talking, but take an hour for yourself. Maybe you go for a walk, or maybe you work out. Then have a time where you start with the calls or you're going to start the game. But don't think that, oh, this team is too good or that agent is too good. You have to go into it with, we could win, I could win, whatever that is, whatever that win is. So that's a mindset don't let anything get in your way, and just focus on doing your best and being a team player, whatever that means, whatever is that real estate, or is that, a sports game, whatever that is.
Right. In the intro, I mentioned your 5 a.m. to 9 a.m. routine. Give us an idea. What does that look like?
Oh, my routine, what it
Yeah,
looks like?
yeah. What's your 5 to 9
Yeah,
routine?
so I get up early. I probably get up closer to 4. I have 2 kitties. They like to get up. I spend a lot of time on the meditation, trying to just be still and listen and to my meditation. I have a vibration plate that I'm obsessed with. So I do my vibration plate. I drink water right away when I get up because I take a thyroid pill. So I drink a big thing of water.
Hmm.
About an hour later, I'll have some coffee. And if I started too late and my husband gets up, I will say like, nope, don't talk. I'm
Hmm.
still I'm still in my personal state. And then I'll start on, well, sometimes I get up early, so I love to have meetings on the East Coast because I can start my meetings early for me. So it's usually a Zoom or some kind of a meeting. I do a lot of one-on-ones with my BNI people. I try to do that in the morning, the business networking, doing one-on-ones, whether you're in a BNI group or you're not, you should be doing one-on-ones with people either on Zoom or in person if possible.
One on one, relate that to a real estate agent.
Yeah,
What are you trying to
one-on-one is
accomplish in that?
so in real estate,
Hmm.
we're trying in whatever job you're in, whatever you're doing, if you're raising money for a film, whatever it is you're
Hmm.
doing, you need to meet with people. So we call it a one-on-one. So you and I right now are talking and how can we help each other?
Right.
How can I help you? What can I do to help you? I'm going to introduce you to some book people, maybe you'll send some referrals and real estate my way in Northern or Southern California. What do you like to do in your free time? Just getting to know, building relationships.
Right.
And there's this one woman, Jojo, she does these one-on-one appointments, meeting people all day. She is just booked. Every 30 minutes, she is booked. I should introduce you to her.
Hmm.
She's hysterical. And then she's connecting you with other people. And so you're meeting people because she's sending referrals your way. But the goal is building relationships with other people so it could help you in whatever it is you need help in.
Letting them know what you're doing. They
Also,
let you know what they're doing and
yeah.
how you can
And
collaborate.
I'm not necessarily, so you mentioned about getting on the phone and talking real estate.
Hmm.
That's not how I do it.
Right.
I'm having conversations and I'm building relationships, but I'm not necessarily, if people ask, we talk real estate, but that's not my primary. My primary is for them to get to know me and know how I help people and how I can help them and that I want to be a resource to them.
So, do you do a little how to win friends and influence people? Obviously, you want them to talk, and then you have your opportunity to tell them what you're doing. They go and
Yeah.
back and forth kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What Bob Berg talks, he says it's giver's gain, but I've always kind of lived that way. I've always kind of asked how I could help. It's always been harder for me to ask for help. I've naturally helped and stuff always comes my way, whether, I don't really think about it. I just have good conversations and try to get to know people. And it's natural for me to say, how can I help you? I mean, right now I already have 3 people to introduce you to and
Hmm.
super easy because it just flies to the top of my head that way. But the goal is just to build relationships. If I can enforce to any new person starting in the business or someone trying to grow their business and maybe they haven't done this before, is just meet with people, meet with other professionals. It doesn't have to be just people that might be looking to use it might be someone that may refer them down the road
Yeah.
because they're having a great conversation and they said, oh yeah, I really had a great conversation with Debbie. She might be able to help you. I mean, just building relationships is super important.
I've been repeating this almost every episode since I had him on. Your net worth is your net worth
Yeah,
is
your
your
network.
network, right? Your network,
Yes.
yeah. Your network is your net worth. That's what it is. Yeah. All right. Obviously, going back to the sports analogies, though, you talk about halftime prep talks.
Yeah.
And this question actually makes me think of David Goggins in your as well as because he talks about the mental mindset of your body wants to physically you think your body wants to physically quit, it can go he can go further. He talks about
Right.
that and whether you're listening to him on Joe Rogan or reading his book or whatever. But
Yeah. So I've never watched him speak, which
mhm.
is so funny because my whole mindset came from what he did. So I guess after I published my book, maybe I'll start to listen to him. But
Did
I only
you
read the book a year ago and I haven't listened to him speak one time. I've just been so immersed in my
right,
book. My
right.
mindset has been to be immersed in this book and get it done. But I didn't train for a marathon. I haven't listened to one word that he has said. But I will tell you when you mentioned the halftime and how he was feeling just
Mhm.
now. I don't remember how he was feeling, but I'll tell you, I had never run past a half marathon. I've done two 13-mile runs in my life. One when I was 20, when the doctors thought I was sick because my blood pressure was so low,
Mhm.
my pulse was so low, but I wasn't sick. Once they finally established that I wasn't sick, I went and ran a half marathon, never having done that before. And then the year I decided to run the marathon, I ran a half marathon. And those are the two times I ran the 13 miles. Well,
Right.
so now I'm on mile 18 in the marathon. And I'm thinking, kind of, I guess, what you said about David, I'm kind of thinking, okay, what am I doing? I'm not even near finished.
Right.
And this is crazy, but I'm not going to stop. But like, it's boring too. And it was helpful having so many people around cheering. I mean, there's miles and miles of people cheering you on, so you don't want to disappoint them. But I thought, for what I thought to myself was, I said, I'm running for all those people who can't run. There's so many people who do not have the ability to run. I have the ability to run. You are going to finish. You are going to start with you. You are not a quitter. You always follow through. That's not something that you do. So that was what I was saying to myself. And,
Mhm.
could my body given out? Yeah, it was the top of my thighs were pretty sore, but I just kept going.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, he goes into the psychology. I've listened to him. I've never actually read his book. I've watched his videos. I've listened to his interview, like with Joe Rogan and stuff like that, which I imagine a lot of the material is the same. But the question, or the finish the sentence I have for you is, when you want to quit, say this.
I mean, my mind is like, I'm like a steel trap door. No is not an option. It's
Mm.
always been short and sweet. No is not an option. I do not quit. I do not stop what I begin. That's how I do it. I don't know if that's too strict for other people, but for me, no is not an option. I can finish what I begin.
Yeah. Yeah.
And just to go back what you said about halftime is where you reset. Halftime is whether you're winning or whether you're losing. When we're losing, we kind of learn from our mistakes. When we're winning, we might get a little cocky, right? So no matter where you are at halftime, winning or losing, you still need to hear what the coach has to say, hear what your boss has to say, hear what your team leader has to say, and go out and do better. Keep it up. Don't give up. Don't let your guard down. Or in case of if you're behind, try harder. But it's a really important time, as is the end of the game. At the end of the game, win or lose, there's lessons to be learned.
This question came up. It says during the Great Recession, and I know it's not actually during the Great Recession, but the recession that we all felt in 2007, 8, 9 period in real estate. You co-launched a business. What gave you the courage, and what principles from that season still guide you today?
Okay, I cannot believe we did it. I don't know why we did it. It was one of those things, accidentally with purpose. So I didn't really think of that. That was never something that was on my list of things to talk about. But
Mhm.
my son said to me, and he was about 10 or 11 when we did this, I think, and or 12 maybe, I don't know. He said, Mom, now he's in his late 20s. He said,
Right.
you never talk about how you guys started a company in the recession. And I'm like, I never really thought of it. It was just what we did. And
Mhm.
we all have that mindset of just making it work. And if it didn't work, we'd go back to our respective companies. It just was an opportunity, and we were going to work to do it. So I'd say that once you decide to do something, work hard at it, figure it out. I wasn't using social media. I said, wow, I knew Adam, Heidi, and I are three different people with very different personalities. So I was doing marketing. That was my hat. And I hired a guy to come in the office to sit with me, teach me even just how to create a social media handle. I mean, I
Mhm.
knew nothing about social media. So I said, if we're going to start a company and going from, 0 to 100, we had all been in real estate a long time, but we're now starting a company and we're starting at 0. It's not going to be through print ads. We're going
Right.
to have to embrace social media. So we were just doing things on just, if we needed something, we would figure it out. We'd create it. We'd hire someone, we'd, purchase whatever tool was needed, but we just did it. And remember the first time we had another group partner who was kind of our partner, who was this company. They let us do what we wanted, but they came in one day. They said, "Oh, we're going to come in and have a meeting." And so we thought, "Oh God, we're being fired. They don't like what we've done," because we did it all different. We didn't do anything. We did not look like their brand. We did our own name. We called it Highland Partners. We didn't call it by the branded name. Everything was done very stylized. They came in and they were just saying how amazing our office was. Everything we had created was incredible. They were considering taking their other 20 offices and branding them Highland Partners and making it us be the model for that.
Right.
And we thought we were being like, okay, you guys have just screwed up entirely, but it was the opposite. And when the rest of those companies folded, ours was the only one that remained standing.
Wow.
It was a hard work because it was kind of just us. And now we've merged with Corcoran, so we have a bigger brand behind us, but we did pretty well. And there were other companies in the recession who started, big companies these days. And we were among those companies, not big like them, but we started in a recession, which didn't really think it was such a big deal.
Well, you found a way, you took action. I mean, right? That's really the bottom line of what you got to take action. And sometimes that's falling on your face a couple times.
Yeah. And you just keep going. You don't think of, and you change and you recreate and you pivot and adjust, but you don't. No is not an option. You just keep moving forward. You keep moving forward through the snow. You don't really think about it. You're moving forward. You're not second guessing. You're not whining about it. You're just moving.
What would you say, just to spin this more into directly, the markets are up and down. Your area is different than my area. We're a little fortunate here north. We're Florida. People are coming in, but we know, based on NAR's statistics, 70% of the agents didn't even do any business, and then there's still another good percentage of that did probably less than a half a dozen, transactions through the year and so forth. Part of it's mindset. I had actually our president of our local board on my last episode, and she was talking about if you're having a tough time right now, it's mindset. You've been through some of these markets, as we were just talking about in 2007-8. There's been other, obviously, times before and after that when rates started to go up in May of 22. A lot of people were uncertain of what's going to happen. I think there are still areas of the country that are uncertain at this moment of what to do because of the cost of housing and so forth. What is your recommendation for the agents that are out there, how to press through these uncertain markets and understand they're going to come and they're going to go?
Right. It'll always ebb and flow. I'd say being involved, being around other people, growing your network, sitting home and waiting for the tide to change is not going to get you anywhere. I find at the holidays when things slow down, I'm fully in activation mode. We're making sauce for our clients. Adam makes a really good bolognese, so we're dropping gifts off. People like to bake cookies, whatever it is. But be a part of, there's a lot of networking groups, a lot of opportunities to be in front of other people. If you're not in front of people, you're out. There's too many agents out there. So if you're going to take a back seat until the market changes, you're out already. You've got to get involved.
You've written, well, I guess, is the Mindset in Motion going to be number 5 for you?
Yes.
Books? Okay. So Real Estate Rules, Contained Beauty, Lights, Camera, Action, The Art of Real Estate. Just tell us a little bit about each one. What's the audience for that? If someone wants to, is going to look you up and see your other books out there, tell us a little bit about each of those.
So Contained Beauty is a coffee table book, a 4-color coffee table book that's so funny now that I look at Mindset in Motion. I've been doing this all my life, sharing positive messaging. So I was going through the empty nest and a friend said, "What do you want to do? You always talk about your kids." And I said, "My kids are everything to me." And she said, "Well, what do you want to do?" I said, "Well, I've always wanted to have a coffee table book with my, my sayings and beautiful photography for around the world and have my books on my listings and just a beautiful place to go."
An archive of your history,
Yeah. And
yeah.
so that's a beautiful gift. If anyone wants a gift for themselves or to give another, today I'm going to give it to two people as a thank you note. I mean, it's just a beautiful coffee table book.
Mhm.
And then The Art of Real Estate happened because the publisher of that book said, you need to write a real estate book. And I was like, one day. That was a lot of work. And so that happened. And The Art of Real Estate is really about the title company and the mortgage and the buyer and the seller and all the lender, everything, how it comes together. And it's not like you can write one chapter per, we all work together.
Yeah.
And so I write about real estate, and it's, it's a thick book, and it's helpful. Like one of our top agents today, he was activating from the beginning. He read that book before he met me, and he has just been flying ever since. He meets a lot of people at open houses, but he's always networking. He also has a full-time job as a flight attendant, but for his benefits, but he's a hard worker, and he does Saturday and Sunday open houses when he can. And so that's kind of a tool. And then 52 ways to achieve success in real estate. That's for everyone. That's easy.
That's the real estate rules.
That's Real Estate Rules.
Okay.
That's a very small book, but it's visual. It was the DreamWorks did the illustrations. The one most important. So when this person approached me from Vermont or somewhere over there, she said on the East Coast, she said, I said, I don't have time for another book. She said, you already have it. Just give me 52 rules. So I pulled out the rules, and then we condensed them. But one of the things was, and this came to me as I was driving cross country after we dropped our son at Boulder, and we were doing my very first road trip. We were driving back to California. And I remember talking to the agent. Of course, I was working the whole way. And I was talking to an agent, and he's like, oh, we're closing. I was representing the seller, and it was a buyer's. We were the deal wasn't going very well. So I was calling the buyer's lender, and he said, oh, we're closing tomorrow. And I'm like, what do you mean we're closing? I said, the client kind of needs notice. It's their house. We have to get it destaged. There's all kinds of things. So I came up with the realtor is the captain of the ship, because we are the people. We need to work with the lender. We have to communicate with the title and escrow and the agents. And anyway, we're the captain of the ship.
Lights, camera, action.
And then one of the things
that's lights, camera, action?
Yeah, no, I don't even count that as a book.
Okay. I was thinking you were talking about being the director or being the captain. I'm like, that makes, okay.
Yeah, I was kind of doing it. I was doing the gifting suite. So I wrote a little book for actors.
Okay.
A little book. I would even consider that as one of my books. 52 rules, captain of the ship. And then one of them, this was years ago when I wrote it. You may not love the Kardashians, but they sure know how to utilize social media. So I wrote this book a while back, and it's still true to this day about social media. Anyway, that's very easy. 52 rules, teeny little pocketbook. It's for anyone with a service, product, or brand that could benefit from this book. And then Beauty at Any Age. Age is just an attitude was something I just put together during COVID. And I just wanted to share messaging that it doesn't matter what age you are. There's so many ways to help you look and feel beautiful. And it doesn't have to cost millions of dollars at all. So I just give some tips there. And I also talk about the importance of community at whatever age you are. And now, as I'm watching my 90-year-old friend who doesn't have any family anymore, community is so important that you should start building your community long before you get
yes,
older ages.
Yeah. Because there's you just made me think. I mean, where I'm at, I mean, you're the parents and so forth are at that age if they're still around. I'm fortunate to have both my in-laws and both my parents are still with us. But I lost an aunt here just last month or in December, and things are starting to happen. With that generation, and then the ailments, and are they alone, and you gotta Yeah.
And then that whole thing around loneliness is huge, and they're the last one standing, and there's no one around. And I write for a couple publications, and I've pretty much been documenting this story about helping this friend of mine who's in her 90s, and she has no one. And as she's starting to decline, I'm trying to figure out I'm not the person to make decisions, and who's going to now start to pay her bills, and who's going to make sure the liaison, community is so important. So I talk about that too.
Yeah.
And then I'm really excited about this new book because it kind of is an accumulation of my life and my goal of just helping people achieve their goals. And it's all possible. You just, with the right mindset. And sure, if you listen to David Goggins' book, he'll probably convince you to do it.
Run through a brick wall.
that lack of support.
Yeah.
Yeah, when my book is published, I'll go read it. I just don't want to have any talking points other than my own,
Right.
what I feel here. I don't want to take from anyone, but that book really pushed me to say I can do anything if he can.
Right. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Because that's nothing compared to some of the things he talks about. Taking the duct tape around his shins and trying to get it through buds and Navy SEAL training. It's crazy.
Right. That was, I picture in my mind all the time when I'm trying to do something is how I think they wanted to kill him. I mean, they were throwing him out in the water and in the middle of the night and not even near the rest of the people on the dinghy or whatever.
Right.
And running on broken shins. I'm like, hell, I can run the marathon. I don't have any of those issues.
Right. If you could teach one rule for success, what would that be?
One rule for success. One rule for success would be really get focused on what it is you want and go after it.
I didn't ask you, but obviously your last name through AI and actually your team sent it to you. What is your relationship to the great Joe DiMaggio?
They're
Cousins. Okay. I actually went online. I Googled. I was like, okay, it says she's related. Let me see how I was trying to figure out. But Joe only had one son, if I read it correctly. Right. And then he passed away not too.
There was a daughter. Maybe it was I think there was a daughter too. Oh, could have been a granddaughter. You're right. So I think it was.
Yeah. So he had one son that died not too long after he passed away. Junior anyway. I was trying to what's a niece or what?
I tried to go with my married name and it didn't last very long. I said I just identify as Debbi DiMaggio, so I kept my maiden name. But yes, third cousins to Joe DiMaggio.
For the listener who wants results this week, to finish up with this here, I think it's pulling it from the information you gave me. Give us a 7-day mindset in motion challenge that they should put themselves into to try to get results here before the end of the month.
Okay. I would say the first thing is try, even if you woke up in the morning and changed your routine to 10 minutes of, at least 10 minutes of just meditating, whether you went on YouTube TV and put your headset on and just, did a meditation and just really focused on.
Give me a rubber meets the road. When you're meditating, are you just trying to just clear your mind of anything and just picturing a blank wall? Because I think we see a lot of these top people talk about meditation and so forth. I think we do meditate at certain times. Sometimes it's while we're driving and allow our brain to start to categorize things and start to bring things in front of us and that sort of thing. How do you meditate if someone's never meditated before?
Yeah, I am by far no expert. There are many ways to meditate, but I did just meet with a man who he does a certain type of meditation.
Mm-hmm.
So the easiest one is really just to put your headset on, whether if the YouTubes are or something, meditation is on your phone, just so you're really locked in and quiet, and 10 minutes of just calm. If your mind wanders, it wanders. Don't worry about it. Come back. Just try to listen and just try to just not really think about anything. But if you do, don't worry about it. Don't worry about what you're thinking.
Are you listening to music? You said putting the headset on, or just
there's different ones.
Okay.
You can listen to. You can just. Dr. Joe Dispenza does a lot of meditations.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say, the Calm app, CALM, Calm app.
I've seen that.
But if you just jump on YouTube and Google Dr. Joe Dispenza, he has a great morning meditation and evening meditation, thousands of them. So his go on usually for 30 minutes. So whatever, just commit to every day, 10 minutes a day, if that's all you can do. The other kind of meditation was, and you can also see this, but he was teaching me the other day. So as you breathe in, you say so. And as you breathe out, you say hum. And so you're closing your eyes and you're in your mind saying so, hum. And you can find this on YouTube as well, but it's really just, that's all you're doing. Close your eyes, breathe in, so, breathe out, hum. And if things start, your to-do list, all the things, just come back, but don't worry about it. Just come back to it. So, And just, this is in your mind. You're
Yeah.
saying this in your
Yep.
mind, but don't worry where it's going. And then if you can, maybe some people want to work out, some people just go for a walk around the block. I love the vibration plate. So I'm on that for a lot. I love being on that. Just really gets your lymphatic drainage going. And then I'll have some coffee, but I will start with the drinking water first thing when I get up, because sleep is so important. And in all of this, and all of the people, all of the CEOs, all of the successful people, sleep is number one. All of the reverse aging and biohacking, sleep is number one. And also when you sleep, when you wake up in the morning, you're very dehydrated. So even before, an hour before you have coffee, they say 90 minutes before you have coffee, replenish with fluids. So that's super important, right? You need to feel healthy. You can't go out and expect to conquer the world if you're not feeling good and feeling healthy.
Right.
And then, calendar. You should start to calendar everything. I used to not do that. Now with the podcasting, my podcast, being on podcasts, and then appointments, put stuff down. So when a new agent comes to me, I will say, you should go see you need to know the inventory. So as new agent here, do you see houses on Monday from 10 to 1 and Thursday from 10 to 1? Put it on your calendar. It's like going to college. When you go to college, all of a sudden the world, you can do whatever you want. No one's going to tell you what you can do. Same with real estate. Your calendar is blank. Start to fill it in.
Good analogy there. Yeah.
Schedule, because that terrified me, college. I was like, oh my God, no, what am I going to do? I don't have any structures. That's really tough. So you need to know the inventory. Start booking appointments. I don't know if this is too much to say, but make 3 appointments this week, Sunday to Sunday. Just 3 times. Choose a professional person. Maybe even it has to be a family member and a new person. Consider sitting down for coffee with someone and really talking with them. And if you want, ask ChatGPT. I want to get to know this person so we can grow our relationship to help us in business. What does that look like? What questions should I ask?
Mm-hmm.
We have ChatGPT can help us now, prompt us to, how can I better serve this person? How can I speak to that person? How can that person help me? How do I ask? It's always hard to ask.
Well, just to add to that a little bit, what I do when I have a guest is you send me a bio. I'll go look for other places you might have another bio, which might be older, and I shove it all into ChatGPT. Sometimes I take a screenshot of their resume there that you have on chat and stick it in there and then say, hey, give me an intro or whatever. You could do the same thing. Throw it all in chat. What kind of questions would be interesting to ask this person? And it'll give you the questions.
Right. That's great. So take their bio and pop it in.
Mm-hmm.
And I will say, and I'm putting this out there to everyone, be a guest. If I could have done 35 years ago what I know now, I would have gotten into BNI from day one. You are specifically, tomorrow's my meeting at 7:50 a.m. Mm-hmm. I have it every Wednesday. I could be a guest on any BNI in the world, so I can develop my business anywhere for real estate, be it referrals for, someone else who has whatever their company is, if it could translate. But you can you can attend a group anywhere. There are conferences. The cool thing about it, and this is every week we have these meetings, and and you pitch. So you pitch 45-second pitch every week. You do your 45-second pitch, and you can change it up. You can ask ChatGPT to change it up, but you're getting to know these people. You're building relationships, and they're referring you, and you're referring them, and you can build that through all of these other networks. And now being part of this real estate network, I just met like 100 people over the last couple of days. And now I'm going to continue to meet them one-on-one. And so I would say anyone wants to join my BNI group, they can be a guest. It's a Wednesday, 7:50 Pacific Standard Time. Just text me and I'll invite them to be a guest on my BNI. If they want to do it in their area, I will locate one for them, whether it's in, your town or Ohio or wherever it is. We can get them into a group to be a guest so they can see what it's like. But that's super important. That will give you structure. Even if you don't join it, you'll understand the things and the tools you can use to help you grow your business.
I like the advice. I've heard maybe a couple other people in 5 years I've been doing this and the hundreds of people I've interviewed, mention that it's like, hey, you look at your week and you don't have any, call some people, even old girlfriends or whatever, neighbors, and go have coffee and actually sit down with them for half an hour and get caught up and just start rekindling those relationships or creating a new relationship if it's there, and start filling in the schedule. And
Right.
it's
Start filling in the schedule.
yeah, to start the motion, as you would say, right? You
Yes.
gotta get the motion going forward.
Get into motion. Well, get into motion, take action, get into motion. No is not an option. Lock in and just go.
All right, so, and right now you can pre-order the book for those who are listening. The website's out there. It's going to launch next month. Now you told me to buy one of your books. Now I'm really interested in the book because I've talked to you a little bit. Hopefully some of the listeners are like, oh, let me see what she's got to say there.
mindsetinmotionbook.com.
Easy enough. mindsetinmotionbook.com. Debbi, you said you had a podcast. What do you like to talk about on your podcast? Who are the type of people you're meeting there?
So it used to be called Mastering the Art of Real Estate, but then I was being approached by people with different businesses. So it's called Mastering the Art of Success. And it's for anyone and same with the episodes of Mastering the Art of Real Estate. It's still the same. It's anyone with a service, product, or brand who needs to grow their business and their network. What you hear from Mastering the Art of Success to what I am, the title now, to the old one, Mastering the Art of Real Estate, you get all the same content. New people come on, they're sharing where they started. Most of them, like me, had no idea when they were growing up or when they were in college that they would end up where they are today.
Right.
There's realtors, coaches, entrepreneurs. There's all kinds of people who just have a story to share of success and sharing how they got there and sharing how they elevate.
Yeah. Well, I think you would agree. Obviously, you're moving forward. Keep moving forward. Be active, and all of a sudden, a door will open here that you didn't even know existed. You'll meet this person over there that might introduce you to someone over there, or out of the blue, your staff found me as a podcast to come on, and I got an email. And I'm so glad that we were able to get together. That's one thing I love about podcasting, as you mentioned very early on, was meeting very interesting people. Obviously, I would love for us to be in the same room right now, but we're 3,000 miles apart, but that still works. I really enjoyed our time together today. So anything else you'd like to finish up with here?
Yeah, I would just say if anyone's looking to buy real estate in California, give me a call. If I'm not the one for you, I'll find you one that can. Please order my book at mindsetinmotionbook.com. I will send an autographed copy. And then when it launches, you'll also get not only the book, but a downloadable copy as well.
Oh.
And if you'd like to attend one of my BNI meetings, happy to have you. If you have any questions at all, shoot me an email, text me. I will answer your questions. I've never not taken the time to answer someone's question, and I'm happy to do so. And you can always reach me at 510-414-6777.
Well, all of this will be in the show notes, and every time we're going to post reels and all on YouTube, the full show will go on. These things will be in the show notes. So just scroll down. You'll see all of Debbi's links to her book. Order the book. I'm going to actually go on and do that. I get an autographed copy. I got to have an autographed copy from one of my guests, because normally you'd sign the wall behind me if you were here with me today.
Oh, I love it.
So I appreciate you, Debbi. I'm going to shut off the recording here if you want to stay on just a moment.
Okay.
All right.
This may be it for today's episode of Real Estate Excellence, but we both know your pursuit of excellence doesn't stop here. To connect with the best of the best and really take your skills to the next level, join our community by visiting TracyHayesPodcast.com, where you'll meet more like-minded individuals looking to expand their inner circle and their personal experience. That's available at TracyHayesPodcast.com.